Welcome to Disability News and Views, a program brought to you by the Mayor's Commission for Persons with Disabilities. I'm Jessica Doonan, the Commission's Chief of Staff. In this episode, my co-host, Ken Meyer, will be speaking with Derek Dominique and Raymond Jordan from the Multicultural Independent Living Center of Boston. But first, I have some news updates for the disability community. The City of Boston recently started up its 18th annual Neighborhood Coffee Hour series, which is being held in local parks across the city through June 22nd. The Neighborhood Coffee Hours give residents an opportunity to speak directly with Mayor Walsh and other city officials about concerns in their neighborhood. Coffee hours are held between 9:30 to 10:30 with coffee and breakfast provided by Dunkin' Donuts and Whole Foods. To see the full schedule of dates for the 2016 Neighborhood Coffee Hours, visit www.boston.gov or call the Boston Parks and Recreation Department at 617-635-4505. Registration for the Boston Center for Youth and Families 2016 summer programming is now underway. BCYF offers summer activities for children of all ages and abilities, including Camp Joy, an accessible, inclusive program for kids with disabilities and their siblings. This 4-week day camp provides opportunities for kids to learn, make new friends, and have fun. The application deadline for Camp Joy is approaching quickly, so if you'd like to sign your kids up, log on to www.boston.gov/BCYF or call 617-635-4920 soon. The City of Boston Annual Community Forum on Disability Issues will be held in June again this year. Hosted by the Mayor's Commission for Persons with Disabilities, this event gives residents who are interested in disability issues an opportunity to talk about their concerns with members of the Commission's advisory board and city officials. Public input from the forum helps us identify accessibility priorities to focus on in the year ahead, so come out and have your voice be heard. Check out our website for date and details on this year's Community Forum. Finally, a reminder that the Boston Disability Commission Advisory Board holds its monthly meetings on the fourth Thursday of the month from 5:30 to 7:30 on the 9th floor in City Hall. Board meetings are free and open to the public. The next meeting will be held on Thursday, May 26th from 5:30 to 7:30. All board meetings are captioned and broadcast live on Boston City TV, as well as on the city website, www.boston.gov. A full agenda is available on our website at www.boston.gov/disability. And now I would like to turn the show over to my co-host, Ken Meyer, for a discussion with Derek Dominique and Raymond Jordan from the Multicultural Independent Living Center of Boston. Ken?
Thank you, Jessica. And Derek, I'm going to start with you. I always like to start at the top. I always found that's the best way to go.
Absolutely.
In looking over your information that you sent to me, I'm always curious as to how one goes in your situation from a financial advisor, which I'm sure we can all use in this day and age, to an executive director of a multicultural independent living center. How does that happen with you?
Well, in my case, and first I would just want to convey my gratitude to the Commission and to you, Ken, for inviting MILCB to join these proceedings, this show. To answer your question, the manner by which I became to be a member and join this staff, my brother unfortunately sustained a traumatic brain injury in 2004. Just so happened it was on the night that the Red Sox won their championship.
Oh my God.
And in effort, on behalf of my family and myself in seeking services for Edward, we landed on the on the doorstep, if you will, of the Multicultural Center. And I was asked to join the board in a financial capacity. I was more than willing to contribute my resources, my efforts. And a few years later, I was asked to temporarily step in as the temporary executive director. And 5 years later, here we are.
A long temporary job.
Very.
Talk a little bit, if you would, about your staff and other functions that your center carries out.
Yes, so our organization, we are an independent living center, and we are based in Jamaica Plain. We have a wonderful staff of 12, each a committed member, committed to serving persons with disabilities. The services that we provide include advocacy, information and referral, skills training, peer counseling, and transition. within our transition umbrella, we do assist individuals who are currently residing in nursing homes and other medical institutions to transition back into the community. And all of our services are provided free of charge.
That's interesting about transitioning back into the community, because many people, my own mother included, many times when they go into a nursing home, they have the opinion that they're not going to get out. They figure they're going there to die. So it's, I'm sure, quite a surprise for them when they're able to get out and get back into the community.
Indeed, and this is very much so why the state has made a commitment to engaging with agencies such as MILCB and the other 10 centers all over the state to assist individuals who have been medically approved to return to the community, just to enable them, provide them all the supports and services that will enable them to not only return to the community of their choice, but to also work towards sustaining that goal.
And we also have a gentleman here, Raymond Jordan. I admire you right off the bat because you are an author. And this is a copy of your book, Willie the Wheelchair. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, this book, and then if you would get into some specifics as far as outreach advocacy is concerned.
Thank you, Ken. Willie the Wheelchair was basically initially it was just my way of speaking with my daughter, who at the time was 4 years old, and finding a way to communicate. I was in a car accident, and I sustained injuries that gave me a spinal cord injury, and unfortunately, I became quadriplegic. And since that time, I've been trying to deal with that change in my life personally, and then with other people in my family and friends, just trying to find a way to communicate with them. And I felt that the children's book would be an excellent way to just open the conversation. And that's basically what Willie the Wheelchair came from. And the story of Willie the Wheelchair is just a story of finding your new self, finding what it is that makes you important, and understanding that we all have differences, that we all have challenges, and that we can, with the right assistance, with the right help from friends, families, and organizations out there, you can always succeed in what you want to do in life.
All right. Now, the notes that I had also mentioned that you educate families.
Correct.
That have about disabilities and things like that. Can you describe how you find and work with some of these constituents?
Absolutely. Well, as an outreach advocate, I have the opportunity to go to many events and beat the drum, basically, of what we do at our organization. So I'm handing out flyers and brochures about what we can assist in. And in those situations, I've met so many families, so many individuals with disabilities that basically use me as a mentor or as a model for a person with disability working in the community and also living on my own with assistance. I have a personal care assistant that allows me to assists me in doing certain things, such as preparing foods, getting dressed in the morning, coming to events like this. So in those situations, they're seeing how, if it's their family member or if it's themselves, how these possibilities are out there, that they can be independent, as independent as they want to be.
Did you have any kind of a role model when you first got involved with this situation, or did you just grit your teeth and say, by God, I'm going to lick this?
Initially, I had to look deep inside myself and find that strength. But looking back, I realized that I've had these role models all along in my life, whether it's my mom, who just gave me that strength of being a single parent, that she was always able to look at the brighter side of situations, and I use that, whether it be my upbringing in singing, choir school. That gave me a sense of being able to use certain skills that I had in terms of my diaphragm, the breathing exercises. Those actually came into play when I was trying to regain my strength and regain my voice. I had a trachea, which was a breathing device in my throat for the first year of my accident, and I couldn't really speak as loudly as I would like to. So all these things started to come back into my life, and I started to witness that I've had these special role models all along.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the breathing exercises. I was a tenor in our high school chorus for 5 years.
Excellent.
So I'm familiar with it, and they still managed to survive.
Right.
I'll never forget singing the Hallelujah chorus.
Absolutely.
I won't give you a demonstration because I'm sure we'd be short on time. Anyway, I also understand, Raymond, that you worked or are working very closely with my boss, or our boss, Kristen McCosh, on a housing task force.
Absolutely, and that is one of the I feel honored basically to be part of this group, because the commission, it's basically showed me how much needs to be done in terms of access to certain things like housing and what's out there right now, and we need to still push forward for just advocacy in terms of looking out for people with disabilities and their needs when it comes to housing.
Is housing the greatest problem that the disabled face right now? And how is it within the city of Boston?
I could pass that on to my boss.
Your boss? What do you think about that, Derek?
So everyone is well aware that housing, affordable housing in particular, is a tremendous challenge here within the city of Boston. Just the economics and the availability, there's just a shortage in that. For the persons with disabilities, it's a combination of a lack of affordable, accessible housing. And so that doubles down on the challenge there. MILCB and the other centers and many other advocacy groups within the space are working diligently to really advocate at the state level, at the city level, to do as much as they can to explore ways that we can increase housing. For instance, currently the mayor executed a study recently, and there's an expectation that the city of Boston is going to see something in the range of 700,000 residents by the year 2030. Hasn't been at that level since the 1950s. And so currently there's a need of approximately 55 to 60,000 new housing units to be constructed and added to the supply within the next 15 years. So we're doing everything we can to just advocate, if you will, and raise the voices, beat the drums, and alert everyone that as we explore opportunities to increase this housing, we need to make sure that persons with disabilities are factored. And I think currently, maybe 5 or 8,000 of those units are expected. But Ken, I'd also say that for those of us currently who do not disclose or don't believe that we have a disability at this time, there's a saying in the disability community that everyone is pretty much a temporarily able-bodied individual, which means that at some point in our lifetime, we are going to have a disability. So it's incumbent upon everyone within the greater society to really factor this in. And everyone should be joining in this effort to really explore ways, means, identify resources to really advance the supply of affordable, accessible housing within the city of Boston and basically throughout the state and the country.
A question maybe that both of you can answer from obviously different points of view, but with the passage of ADA and with the more technology that is occurring as far as accessible technology and other advances, are people finding it easier now to accept a disability, say, as opposed to maybe 5 or 10 years ago?
Excellent question.
We provide services to over 200 to 300 individuals per year. The feedback we're getting is that there's a yes and there's a no. Across the board, there is a need for increased sensitivity. And many times as resources become more limited or agencies either become obsolete or divested, there's a greater sense of urgency to allocate limited resources to those who advocate better than others. And this is why it's so important that agencies such as ours and the wonderful work that individuals like Mr. Jordan does in the community really advocating and pushing, because we're seeing that folks with disabilities are just facing more challenges when it comes not only housing, but in transportation, in healthcare, employment, education. Just a lot more needs to be done, and the fight is not over.
Yeah, I think employment will always be a problem. I remember how tough it was for me to get a job and what I wanted to do. And I hope no one has to go through that. I hope I never have to go through it again. Because it's a scary feeling knowing how much you want something and not be able to do it.
Indeed.
It can be very difficult. Is there a problem for people with disabilities and health care?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And again, you can look at it on a case-by-case scenario, or you look at it from a standpoint of just at the institutional level. And everything trickles from the top down. You're still finding that there are hospitals and medical institutions out there that are not providing the necessary equipment in order to enable women who use chairs, for instance, go through a breast exam, if you will, for cancer. You're finding that individuals who need to be lifted from a chair and transferred onto a bed still facing challenges at some of the more prestigious institutions here, even here in the city. And as much as Boston is deemed as, sort of the mecca for disability services, we still have challenges right here within our home. Mm-hmm. So yes.
I've had people tell me if you ever have to be sick or need to be taken care of, Boston is the best city to go to.
Yes.
Would you both totally agree with that?
Yes. Absolutely.
As opposed to a New York or a Chicago or
Indeed.
Even a San Francisco?
Indeed.
In places like that?
Indeed.
So what's next for Boston to conquer, in your eyes?
On the disability front?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to give Raymond a go at that.
I would say the first thing that we would want to tackle is definitely the housing issue. That it's a liberating feeling to be able to have a place of your own to go back to feel that you can stay in a place where you are in control of your daily activities. That initial feeling of independence, it fuels everything else. It fuels for me, it fueled the need to find employment, to sustain that independence. And then with that, then you search for other things that link in, like assistive technology, or transportation to get to work, or transportation to go out and do other things. But that initial independence, unfortunately, is with the living situation, and then employment comes right after that. Mm-hmm. They go hand in hand, pretty much, in terms of independence.
All right, I'm going to check in with our control room here. Gentlemen, how much time do we have left? Okay. Well, we have 2 minutes, very quickly. Is there something that either of you can look back on and jump up and down and say, boy, I did this and it really made me feel good, in any particular disability case?
If I may?
Yeah, absolutely.
For the IL centers, we are mandated to maintain at least 51% of our staff be persons with disabilities. And I have had the privilege and the honor of enabling individuals such as Mr. Jordan and others to find gainful employment with the agency and really allow them to really blossom and grow. One phenomenal story is I happened to chance upon an individual who's one of our consumers, and I had no idea that this gentleman was homeless and unemployed. Upon meeting him, we had a robust conversation, saw his talents, and he was able to articulate some of his skills. He joined the organization. 2 months later, he was able to attain housing, And now he is one of the more invaluable members of the team. And I would just encourage many employers out there to, give folks with a disability a chance.
Amen on that.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you both very much for making an appearance on Disability News and Views. It's been an honor to have met you both, and you do a great deal for Boston and the disabled community, and our organization thanks you for that, as do I. And thank you both for being here. And we'll be with you again next time on our next edition of Disability News and Views. So long, everybody.